I trace the rim of my water glass with my index finger, the cool crystal humming under my touch. The chandelier above casts jagged prisms across the mahogany table, a polished battlefield where superiority stretches tight between us. My mother, Evelyn, 58 and pristine in her silk blouse, adjusts her linen napkin with a practiced flick, stabbing the corner of her mouth as she beams at Ethan. My brother, 35, leans back in his chair, swirling his third glass of Cabernet, the deep red catching the light like blood in a vial. So the merger finally went through, he announces, voice smooth as oil. The partners are bringing me on as junior executive counsel, starting salaries north of 300. Dad, James, 60, and broad-shouldered in his tailored suit, lights up, reaches across to clap Ethan on the shoulder. That's my boy. Mom's smile widens, a crescent of teeth under the chandelier's glare. We're so proud. The Harrisons were just telling us how Thomas is still trying to make partner at his firm. Their eyes shift to me, Harper Morris, 32, like predators sizing up prey. I feel the weight of their gaze, heavy as the crystal in my hand. But I keep my spine straight, my face blank. How's your little project going, Harper? Dad asks, the word project dangling in the air, sour and dismissive. I swallow the sting, keep my voice even. We just secured a new contract. The client's under NDA, but it's significant. His gaze slides off me, unimpressed, lands on his prime rib. He cuts into it with surgical precision, dismissing me without a word. Mom straightens, her face brightening artificially. Did you hear? Olivia Parker made senior vice president at Goldman. Her mother mentioned it at the club yesterday, 32 and already running their Asia division. She looks directly at me, her eyes sharp. You two were such good friends at Harvard. We weren't, I say, clipped. We took one class together. That's wonderful for her. Dad sets down his knife and fork, levels his gaze at me, steady as a sniper's aim. When are you going to stop playing entrepreneur and get a real job, Harper? There it is, the familiar barb, honed over years. Ethan chimes in, his voice dripping with fake concern. You're almost 33, Harp, still working out of that garage. My hand tightens around the glass, the ice clinking faintly. I fight the urge to correct him. It's not a garage anymore. Hasn't been for months. They wouldn't know. They've never bothered to visit. Instead, I glance at my watch. 8:59 p.m. One more minute, I think, and the air feels like it's holding its breath with me. 4 years ago, I stood in the gleaming conference room of Carter and Hayes Consulting. My navy suit tailored sharp, hair pulled back tight. The PowerPoint slide behind me glowed, lines of code I'd isolated splayed across the screen like a confession. I was 28 then, voice steady, as I pointed to the critical security vulnerability I'd uncovered in our client's banking system. This could compromise millions of accounts, I explained, tapping the projector remote. The CTO, a graying man with arms crossed like a fortress, leaned back in his chair, his sneer cutting through the fluorescent hum. Stay in your lane, Morris. We hired you for implementation, not system architecture. The words landed like a slap, but I held my ground, felt the heat rise in my chest. 2 weeks later, I walked out of their glass-walled offices, resignation letter crisp on my boss's desk, personal items stuffed in a cardboard box. My heels clicked against the polished floor, a metronome ticking down to something I couldn't yet name. I'd left behind my six-figure salary, the corner office with its sterile view, and the last illusion that corporate America would ever value what I had to offer. The air outside tasted sharp, unfiltered, as I carried that box to my car, the weight of it lighter than the chains I'd shed. That night, I overheard Dad on the phone with Mom, his voice low and disappointed. She's throwing away everything she worked for, he said when I sold my Mercedes to fund the first round of server equipment. Evelyn sighed through the receiver. Such a shame. They didn't see the spark in my hands, the ember of something bigger than their mahogany world. I turned off my phone, let the silence settle, and started sketching algorithms on a napkin in my condo's dim kitchen light. The rejection wasn't a door closing, it was a window cracking open, fog seeping in, promising a horizon they'd never understand. The fog presses against the grimy windows of our 500-square-foot garage outside San Francisco, a living thing obscuring the 3 a.m. darkness. I'm 29 now, breath clouding in the unheated space, the weak yellow glow of a secondhand desk lamp barely reaching the corners. 7 of us, outcasts united by rejection, hunch over workstations made from doors on sawhorses, screens casting blue shadows across exhausted faces. Noah Patel, 27, our CTO, taps commands on his keyboard, his dark circles matching mine. The whiteboard looms behind us, a chaotic constellation of cybersecurity protocols, attack vectors, maddening in its complexity. Try it again, I tell Noah, my voice hollow in the concrete box we call headquarters. He murmurs, running test sequence, as Zoe Carter, 26, rubs her eyes, and Liam Hayes, 28, watches the server lights flicker. We've been at this for 17 days straight, subsisting on caffeine and desperation. My last piece of jewelry, Mom's pearls, borrowed and never returned, sold yesterday to make payroll. An eviction notice sits folded in my back pocket, 8 days of runway left. Server response is timing out, Zoe says, her voice fraying. I drain my third energy drink, ignore the tremor in my hands. Reconfigure the authentication layer, the vulnerabilities there. Noah's fingers fly across the keys, the timer on his screen counting down, 3:46 a.m. Running final sequence, he announces, voice tight. The room falls silent, save for the hum of overtaxed laptops and the ancient fridge holding our ramen and Red Bull. At 3:47 a.m., Noah stands so abruptly, his chair crashes backward. Holy shit, it's holding. I propel myself to his station, see the terminal cascade with successful authentications under extreme load. Try the malicious packet injection, I order, heart pounding. 3 minutes later, our system absorbs, identifies, neutralizes every attack. It's not just working, it's rewriting the game. Cheers erupt, bodies collide in exhausted hugs. Zoe's dancing on her desk. Liam's grinning like a kid. I slide down against the wall, concrete cold against my back, overwhelmed. 4 words flash through my mind, worth every damn sacrifice. The fog outside thins, hinting at dawn, and I know this garage, this moment, is where we stop being outcasts and start being unstoppable. The chandelier's light feels harsher now, slicing through the dining room's pristine facade, exposing every crack in the polished mahogany. I'm 32, still tracing the rim of my water glass, the ice clinking faintly as 3 phones ping in unison at 9 p.m. Sharp. My family, James, 60, Evelyn, 58, Ethan, 35, freeze mid-motion, their faces caught in the glow of their screens. I lift my glass, take a slow, deliberate sip, watching the color drain from Dad's cheeks as he reads the Bloomberg headline, Tech Startup, Morris Cybersecures Multi-Million Government Contract. Valuation hits $750 million. Mom fumbles for her reading glasses, squinting, her manicured fingers trembling. 750 million. That can't be right, she mutters, scrolling frantically. Ethan sets his wine glass down with enough force to splash red across the white tablecloth, a wound blooming against the pristine fabric. You closed the Pentagon contract? That was your NDA? He asks, voice tight. I nod, place my glass back on the table with precision, the crystal catching the light, sending prisms dancing across the chaos. No mistake, I say, my tone steady, the one I use in boardrooms with skeptical investors. The Pentagon contract came through last week. We beat out IBM and 3 other major security firms. Dad's face twists through a complex transformation. Shock, dissolves into calculation. Disbelief hardens into opportunity. I've seen this look before, in negotiations when someone reassesses your worth mid-sentence. Sweetheart, this is extraordinary, Mamsal. Already reaching for her phone. I must tell Caroline at the club. She was just saying how her son's tech venture folded last quarter. Her voice drips with pride she never offered when it mattered. Your mother and I always knew you had potential, Dad adds, leaning forward, his tone dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I could help manage some of this. The tax implications alone will be substantial. Ethan reaches into his suit jacket, slides a business card across the table, the embossed silver of Ethan Morris, wealth management partner, glinting under the chandelier. You'll need a financial advisor now, someone who understands family wealth, he says, his smile practiced, hollow. I pick up the card, turn it over in my fingers, remembering the email I got 6 months ago from an investor who'd heard concerns about my company. Interesting, I say, standing slowly, the chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Dad's eyebrows lift. Harper, sit down. We're celebrating your news. The partner at Kieran Capital mentioned someone close to me warned them off, I continue, looking directly at Ethan, whose face goes perfectly still. They said my own brother told them to avoid my crazy sister's doomed project. His throat works, a swallow he can't hide. He stammers, but I cut him off, my voice level, factual. You told your entire network to blacklist me, called my CTO, told him he was making a career-ending mistake. Mom's tears start, the elegant kind that never smudge her mascara, her practiced defense. Harper, please, your brother would never... I turn to her, recalling every barb. Your exact words to Mrs. Parker last Christmas were that I was having an embarrassing midlife crisis, playing businesswoman. The tears shift, become real, raw, as the truth lands. Dad pushes back from the table, his voice cracking. Now wait just a minute. We've always supported you. Cut me off financially when I sold my car to buy servers, I interrupt, meeting his eyes. Told Grandma I was throwing away my education when she asked why I missed Thanksgiving. My phone vibrates with a text. Noah, CTO. Did you tell them yet? A small smile touches my lips as I collect my purse from the sideboard. Where are you going? Mom asks, her voice breaking. Home, I say, meaning the converted warehouse where my team waits, not this mausoleum of familial disappointment. The silence fractures like thin ice as I walk out, their stunned faces fading behind me. The garage feels smaller now, a year into this grind, the threadbare couch my bed most nights, my back protesting its sagging frame. I'm 30, brushing my teeth with a travel toothbrush that lives in my laptop bag, the lukewarm trickle from our tiny bathroom barely cutting through the grime of sleepless weeks. Outside, the garage door rattles upward. Noah, 28, stepping in with a box of donuts, his voice dry. Morning, boss. Another night in the executive suite? I stretch, wincing, manage a faint grin. Ventilation's better than the Ritz. My phone rings, a government area code flashing, my stomach tightening as I answer, putting it on speaker for Noah to hear. Miss Morris, Lieutenant Colonel Daniels, the voice says, clipped. We need to discuss your security protocol demonstration. Noah freezes mid-bite, watching me. Of course, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding my veins. Was there an issue with our submission? The colonel's tone shifts, almost amused. The issue is nobody believes your numbers. Our team says they're impossible. My eyes meet Noah's. We've heard this before, from investors, from Ethan's snide wellness check suggesting I needed a shrink. They're accurate, I reply. We can demonstrate live. He pauses. That's why I'm calling. We want you in DC next Tuesday. Can you make that happen? I glance around the garage. The secondhand furniture, the whiteboard sprawling with our breakthrough algorithm, the coffee maker that's fueled countless all-nighters. We'll be there, I say, hanging up. Noah stares. How are we paying for flights to DC? I smile grimly. Ever maxed out a credit card for something you believed in? Tuesday finds us in a sterile Pentagon briefing room. My team, in borrowed suits and thrift store finds, standing behind me as I face uniformed skeptics. The fundamental problem with existing protocols is their reactive architecture, I explain, my voice cutting through the room's palpable doubt. Noah steps forward, takes over the technical demo, his hands steady on the laptop. What Miss Morris has developed is a predictive defensive matrix that anticipates attack vectors before they're deployed, he says. The lead analyst interrupts. Theoretical models have tried this for years. The processing requirements make it impossible. I meet his gaze. Run your test suite right now against our system. For 47 minutes, their most sophisticated penetration tools fail, one by one, against our defenses. The room shifts. Skepticism cracks into stunned silence, then hungry interest. How soon can you deploy? Daniels asks. We're ready now, I say, no hesitation. That night, crammed into one double hotel room to save money, I received the email confirming our first government contract. Zoe Carter, 26, toasts with cheap champagne in plastic cups. To Morris Cyber. Noah raises his cup, looks at me. Google called again, offered to double their offer. Full team. The room quiets, everyone knowing his mother's medical bills, his brother's tuition. What did you tell them? I ask. He clinks his cup against mine. That I already work for the future. I swallow hard, the weight of their belief heavier than any contract. The vinyl booth at Mabel's Diner squeaks as I slide in 20 minutes early, the worn table wobbling under my elbows, a far cry from the Ritz-Carlton restaurant James suggested. Neutral ground was non-negotiable. Olivia Chen, 34, my CFO, sits across from me, reviewing notes on her tablet, her presence a shield as much as a witness. They're here, she murmurs, glancing toward the entrance. I take a slow sip of water, steady my breath before looking up, nearly laughing at the absurdity. Dad stands awkwardly in his Italian leather shoes, tailored suit clashing with the checkerboard floor. Mom clutches her Hermes bag like it might catch something, while Ethan wipes his hand against his pant leg after touching the door, disdain curling his lip. The hostess leads them through the lunch crowd, nurses off night shifts, construction workers on break, techies seeking greasy spoons, my family waddling like penguins among sparrows. Harper, Dad says, extending his hand formally as if sealing a deal. I shake it briefly, watch them settle into the booth, the leather creaking under their discomfort. Olivia introduces herself, voice precise. Olivia Chen, Chief Financial Officer at Morris Cyber. Mom's eyebrows twitch upward. She didn't expect witnesses. Dad clears his throat, launches into a rehearsed speech, his eyes drifting to his Rolex, timing himself. Harper, family is about legacy. The Morris name has stood for excellence for 3 generations. We've always supported each other's endeavors, and now that you've found success, it's time to reintegrate you into the family's collective vision. No apology, just strategy. Mom reaches across, stops short of touching me. We always believed in you, sweetheart, even when we didn't understand your methods. The lie hangs there, bold and brittle. Ethan slides a business card across the sticky tabletop. Ethan Morris, wealth management partner gleaming. I've drafted a proposal for family investment coordination. Now that you've attracted significant capital, we should align our strategies. I can bring considerable value to Morris Cyber's growth. I pick up the card, examine it, slip it into my pocket. Interesting. Is this the same value you brought when you told the Winter Group to avoid my sister's doomed little hobby? His smile falters, freezes. Mom jumps in. We've been so proud telling everyone about your success. The Harrisons were just saying how we always knew your computer thing would take off. Computer thing, I repeat flatly. You mean the cybersecurity firm you've been claiming to have funded? I open my laptop, turn it so they can see, click through a folder labeled Family Communications, 2020 to 2024. Let's review what emotional support looks like, I say, voice calm. Dad's email to his investment group. My daughter's caught up in Silicon Valley fever. Advise avoiding any connection. Mom's text to her sister. So embarrassing. Harper's living like a college student again, playing with computers. Ethan's message to our cousin. Had to stage an intervention. She's throwing away a perfectly good career. Their faces pale with each click. For any relationship moving forward, I have terms, I say, counting on my fingers. 1. Complete honesty. No more pretending you supported me. 2. Business and family stay separate permanently. 3. Family therapy for meaningful contact. 4. Public acknowledgement of how you treated me during the startup phase. Mom's face crumples. That's humiliating. So is hearing you tell Mrs. Parker I was having a sad little breakdown when I mortgaged my condo, I reply. Dad slams his palm on the table, silverware rattling. This is absurd. We gave you everything, the best schools, connections, and this is your gratitude? Olivia stands with me as I gather my things. I didn't come for a fight, I say, voice low. I came to see if there's anything worth salvaging. The ball's in your court. I leave the house key on the table, its glint a small, final goodbye. Outside, the California sun feels cleansing. Olivia glancing at me. You okay? I breathe deep. I'm not sure, but I'm free. I stand by the floor-to-ceiling window of Morris Cyber's 50,000-square-foot headquarters, hands clasped behind my back, the San Francisco skyline glittering against the evening sky. I'm 33 now, my reflection in the glass showing a woman I'm still learning to recognize. Harper Morris, CEO of a $1.2 billion company. Through the transparent walls of my modest office, I watch my team of 140 move with purpose across the innovation lab, screens flickering with code, whiteboards overflowing with diagrams. The energy pulses, a magnified echo of our garage days. On the main wall, the old garage door hangs mounted, its peeling paint and dents like battle scars, a daily reminder of where we began. Across the room, Sarah Kim, 23, gestures wildly at a workstation, explaining her encryption protocol to 2 other founders in our $10 million women's grant program. Their voices rise and fall, dreamers unafraid to build. That's exactly what the banking sector needs, I say, crossing the hardwood floors I insisted on. Warm, creaking slightly underfoot, not cold marble. Have you considered how it'd scale across international borders? Sarah's eyes widen. I didn't think that far ahead. I rest my hand on her shoulder, steady. Always think global from day one, even from a garage. She glances at the mounted door, nods, a spark igniting behind her gaze. My phone buzzes with the 15th voicemail from Mom this week. Harper, darling, the Andersons' gala is next weekend. Everyone's asking about you. Evelyn's voice chirps, rehearsed. They'd love to hear about your little, well, not so little company. Call me back, sweetheart. I delete it mid-sentence, uninterrupted as my assistant Claire knocks and enters. Your brother's in the lobby again, 3rd time this week, she says, eyebrow raised. Tell him I'm in meetings all day, I reply, eyes on my laptop. He brought flowers. Donate them to the children's hospital down the street, I say, firm. She nods, retreats, then returns. Also, your father called 3 board members yesterday, claiming family investment opportunities. I close my eyes briefly, exhale. Send an email to the board, remind them of our NDAs and protocols for unsolicited contact. Before Claire leaves, I open an email I've drafted for 3 days, addressed to James, Evelyn, and Ethan. The words are stripped bare, cold precision cutting through years of noise. Business and family remain separate. No further financial overtures will be entertained. I press send. Feel the weight of their expectations slide off my shoulders. The skyline beyond the glass glitters brighter, unburdened, and I turn back to Sarah, to the future we're building without their shadows. The conference room buzzes with hushed excitement. Streamers strung crookedly across the ceiling, a lopsided cake glowing with candles on a folding table. I'm 33 today, stepping in as my team, my chosen family, grins from mismatched chairs. Noah Patel, 29, adjusts the happy birthday. Mad scientist frosting with a smirk, the nickname they gave me during our first all-nighter. Olivia Chen, 34, pours cheap wine into coffee mugs, the only vessels we have enough of, while Mia Brooks, 28, our head of security, wraps me in a fierce hug. 33 looks good on you, boss, she says, her voice warm. Don't you all have work to do? I ask, but there's no edge, just a smile tugging at my lips. Speech! Noah demands, pulling me back to the moment. I shake my head, stand anyway, the room quieting as I look around at faces lit with warmth, not judgment. 4 years ago, I sat at a dining table being told what I built didn't matter, I say, my voice steady, carrying gratitude I've rarely spoken aloud. This is what a real family dinner looks like. Applause erupts, mugs clink, and Mia raises hers. To chosen family, I blow out the candles, the wax dripping onto the frosting, a messy, joyful imperfection smearing as we cut it. The laughter fills the space, a sound I never heard at that mahogany table. Later, as cake crumbs scatter, I mention Mom's call last week, her hesitant voice on the phone. The therapist says I need to acknowledge my role in your pain, she'd said, words clearly rehearsed but tinged with effort. I'm trying to understand, Harper. The team nods. Understanding healing doesn't mean forgetting. Dad hasn't called in 6 months, though after Bloomberg's cover feature, he sent a terse email. Congratulations on your success despite our misgivings. Not an apology, but an acknowledgement I haven't answered. Ethan's competing venture folded last quarter. His passion never tech, only wealth. The market saw through it. Some relationships won't recover, I say quietly, and Olivia rests a hand on my arm. And that's okay, she replies. I nod, the piece of that truth settling in, the cake's sweetness lingering as we clean up together. The headquarters hums with silence tonight, my footsteps echoing as I approach the mounted garage door, its rough surface catching the dim light. San Francisco's skyline glitters beyond the window, a constellation of possibility stretching into the dark. I'm 33, tracing the door's dents with my fingertips, feeling the contrast between where we started and where we stand. My reflection in the glass overlays the city, two Harpers merging, the desperate entrepreneur who slept on a couch between coding sessions, and the CEO whose security protocol shields millions worldwide. The circles under my eyes have faded, though the intensity remains, a quiet fire Dr. Sharma called progress in yesterday's therapy session. You're resting without guilt, she'd said, gentle but direct. That's growth, Harper. My foundation for first-generation entrepreneurs launches next week, a $10 million lifeline for those dismissed by their own. My TED Talk on redefining success beyond family expectations has racked up 2 million views, its echo louder than any headline. I press my palm against the peeling paint, the texture grounding me, connecting past struggle to present strength. I'm Harper Morris, I whisper to the empty room, the words soft, definitive, and I build things that matter. The night air beyond the glass feels clean, sharp, a promise carried from that fog-bound garage to this gleaming tower. I step back, the whiteboard from our first breakthrough still visible across the lab, its faded marker a sacred artifact. The reflection shifts, showing only me now, not the ghosts of expectation. I've untangled the knots inside, perfectionism, the need to prove myself, through 12 months of weekly sessions, finding peace in what I've forged with those who believed when no one else did. The skyline beckons, and I turn toward it, ready for what's next.